Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves daylight saving time. Frank, how are you today?
I love daylight savings time, man. That extra hour just, mwah. The extra hour of sleep is a beautiful thing. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing quite well. It is decidedly early for a Beer with Geeks in our recent memory. Normally, we record in the evenings because we're regular humans. But now we were recording in the mornings because we are still regular humans. So I am not drinking a beer, Frank. I am drinking a coffee. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a what is known in the business as a red eye. It is.
Are you really?
Yes, it is just a coffee with a shot of espresso in it.
Yeah. See, early morning. Told you. Do you know what kind of coffee you're drinking? We can do beer. We can do coffee with geeks for a second.
This is true. I am drinking. This is a Lavazza coffee.
Oh, it's fancy. Fancy. Lavazza coffee. That's fun.
Yes.
Yes. I am drinking. I'm drinking Bones coffee.
Bones coffee. I'm not familiar with Bones coffee. No.
Bones Coffee popped up as an ad, and I was like, you have a cool design. I'll buy you. Let's see what's happening. And so their flavors are kind of fun and all over the place, but I am drinking what's called a Frankenbones, which is a chocolate and hazelnut coffee.
Ooh.
And it is excellent. They have...
That sounds... So it's like Nutella coffee.
Yeah, so
that
they have
fantastic.
Stuff like coconut rum, French vanilla, high voltage, maple bacon.
Ooh, those sound great.
Which can confirm maple bacon, amazing.
Ooh,
electric unicorn, fruity cereal coffee, white Russian flavored coffee, strawberry cheesecake, bananas Foster, whatever. And this is the first time I'm actually drinking it, so this was an inaugural taste test.
Nice. And so you're loving it, huh?
I am not disappointed.
Yeah.
I drink my coffee black, and the flavor, even without milk and sugar, is so strong. It is. Oh, it is really good. That is delectable. I'm very satisfied.
Well, good. I'm really glad to hear it. That sounds phenomenal. I'm gonna have to try that. I've been experimenting sort of with my coffee game a little bit. I drink mostly espresso at home now. My wife got me an espresso machine 2-3 years ago. We'd gone to Europe, and that's sort of the main coffee that they serve in much of Europe is espresso, and I got hooked on it. And so when my birthday came around, not too long after that, she got me an espresso machine, and that's basically what we drink every morning. Is we make a shot of espresso each and drink that while we watch the news in the morning. And so I've been hooked on it, and I've been sort of trying different espressos and all the different sort of blends and things. And I'm learning about coffee. I was never a coffee snob before. But sort of the same way that I've gotten into
snob.
Just a regular snob. I'm a beer snob. That's for sure. And I have, so I'm starting to learn a little bit about coffee as well. And what you just described sounds fantastic. So
that's cool. Speaking of snobby, I have to tell you this story.
Oh, please do.
So before we get rolling into today's topic, I went to this thing near my house last night with my wife. It's called the Pumpkin Spectacular. It's this guy who does artist renditions of his art on pumpkins and carves like hundreds and hundreds of pumpkins, and it's so many, it's just thousands of pumpkins, just and you walk and walk and walk, and they're all designed and they're different. There was a tribute to Stan Lee last night. and like all this different stuff. But the main pumpkin area, like design area, was Vivaldi's Four Seasons.
Whoa,
which was cool. And so you'd like walk through winter and spring and summer and autumn, and it would play the different parts. They'd pump in Vivaldi's music as you were going, it was really, really cool. And these people behind me, about our age, we were walking into summer, I think, and the guy behind me was like, "What's a Vivaldi?"
Oh no!
and the woman next to him was like, "He's a composist."
Oh no!
I was like, and they were like, "Oh, that makes so much more sense now." And I'm like, "Oh, does it? Does it?"
Are you sure that a composist makes more sense?
Oh my gosh,
my goodness.
I turned to my wife afterwards. I said, I feel like super snobby for being like, how do you not know who Vivaldi is? But at the same time, you used the word composist, so
right.
I feel a little bit better.
Oh my gosh. Composist. That is very funny. Yeah, I can see how you felt a little snobby about the Vivaldi piece. I mean, but the composist is just the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. That's too funny. Oh man.
Well, Frank, I asked you about daylight savings time.
You sure did.
For a particular reason. One, because 'tis the time, but also because sometimes that extra hour will save your life.
That's true.
And sometimes it comes down to the very last second to save all of humanity from a post-apocalyptic, robot takeover, Frank. So, I was wondering, how do you think that in the future, do you think that the Terminators care about daylight savings time?
I don't think they give a damn about daylight savings time. Honestly, I don't think. Was it
part of their original programming, and was Skynet able to get rid of it?
That is one of the great questions of our time that I hope we never get an answer to. I hope that we're able to stave off the Terminator future apocalypse. And never find out what their stance on daylight savings time is. Yeah, we're doing another one of our retrospects segments.
Retrospects, put them on.
Where we talk about things from days gone by. Basically, you could call it what Beer with Geeks is. But we're talking about the Terminator franchise. So I am a reasonably big fan of this franchise. I really, really enjoy it. I think more than many people I know. I hesitate to call myself like a super fan or anything like that, because my knowledge on it definitely doesn't go super, super deep. Like, I'm not a super rabid fan where I know every little piece of trivia about the franchise, but I really, really deeply enjoy it. I enjoyed it enough to watch the TV show about 10 years ago, which is, I think, more than many people enjoy that franchise. So, I'm a pretty big fan. But what about yourself?
I was going to say, let's split this into three categories. What if there's super fan, where like all the minutia, what ship they're flying?
The encyclopedic knowledge.
Right, and then there's a fan, in which you follow the franchise. You have a good encyclopedic knowledge, but you can't recite the encyclopedic knowledge of it. And then you're a passing fan, in which you enjoy it occasionally, in which you know enough to carry on a conversation, and you'll definitely see what adventure is happening the next time. But you don't care to explore more than what the movies give you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I'd put myself in that second category, that fan category.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm a passing fan.
You're more of a passing fan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So you've seen all the films, I assume, right? Or at least most of the films.
Nope.
Nope?
I've never seen Terminator 3.
Okay. So, but you've seen most
up until a few months ago, I've never seen Terminator.
Whoa! Wait a second. Tell me this. Tell me this.
I had never watched Terminator. I think I watched it in May, maybe something like that. I had seen T2 was the first one that I had ever seen.
Okay.
And I thought it was fine, but I was a child, So,
Right, okay, okay.
like, and you're just like, and you don't have a lot of information from T2 without seeing T1. Like, you get caught up to speed, but there's always like a piece missing. And so it was good. It was fine. And then I never saw T3 because the time that it was coming out, I really wasn't like going to the movies. Nobody in my friend group was interested in the Terminator, so I never saw it. And then, what's that after that? Salvation?
Salvation, yeah.
Yep. I saw Salvation in theater.
Yep.
And by that point, I was a big enough fan of, like, who the Terminator was and the cool aesthetics and, everything like that. And the movie's not good, so that didn't help. Didn't help at all, which is a shame because the future war is what I'm the most interested in when it comes to the Terminator. Like, that's the stuff I want to see. So that was a little disappointing that it wasn't great. And then what was the one after that?
Genesis.
That's right.
I think we saw that one together.
I think we did, and honestly, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It was
fine.
It was better than Salvation, but it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I feel about all the Terminator movies. Like, and then I saw the first one, and a couple months ago, and I was like, oh wow, I get why this was a big deal when it came out, and I definitely get why T2 was a big deal when it came out, because if you look at all the other action movies leading up to that point, like, T2 is a big deal, and it still holds up in its own way, but it definitely also is very much a 90s movie, and it doesn't transcend its time as the way other films kind of do, and so yeah, it's fine. I like the Terminator just fine. If I never watched one again, I'd be like, all right, that's fine. I don't feel like I'm missing out of anything in my life. But if someone was like, hey, do you want to go see the new one? I'd be like, yeah, I'll see the new one, definitely. No, there's something about the endoskeleton, like the Terminator skeleton itself. I just love how it looks. The design, I love the design. So I'm almost drawn to see them just so I can see what fun new design they have for the T series.
It is a really cool and like scary looking monster or villain, right? I mean, it's a very menacing look, and it's something really, really compelling and really kind of pulls you back. I also got into Terminator sort of late. Like, I wasn't as a kid. I didn't get into it until I was in like college. And there was a lot of buzz around the TV show, and friends of mine were really getting into it, and I was like, well, I got to try this out, but I couldn't try it out unless I had seen the films. So I watched Terminator 1 and 2 pretty quickly back to back, and was like captivated with the first one, because I think the first one is one of the, like, it launched a franchise, but on its own is like a really compelling film with a really cool concept and really well executed. I agree. Just on its own.
Yeah, I think I saw them at such different times, but I think I was more captivated by the first one than any of the other ones.
Because it sets up the whole thing, right? And it sets up the whole premise, and it's such a like relatively simple. I mean, like, there are time traveling robots from the future who came back to stop you from having a son. Like, that's it.
Relatively simple, because time is relative. Because time travel. I gotcha. I guess I see what you're doing there. Good,
but you know what I mean, right? Like, it's a relatively straightforward. Like, yes, okay, there's time travel, and it's sci-fi and all this stuff, and it's an action movie, but it's kind of a movie first and genre second. As opposed to now, they're like genre films. But yes, do you get the distinction that I'm kind of making?
I know exactly what you're saying, and here's the thing about Terminator, that it actually falls into the same same problem I have with some of the later Alien films.
Ah, okay.
And so, the first Terminator / the first Alien are horror movies.
Yes,
they are They're not action movies. There is like action-ish in them because people run and stuff, but they should be classified as horror movies. T2 Aliens are action movies. They were like, what if we took this same concept but made it an action movie? And then they made a lot of money, and then studios went, great, they will forever be action movies.
Mm-hmm.
Say, but you're missing out part of the fun of this concept that you could give this another genre.
Yeah.
You could give me the Terminator as, I don't know, a romance or American Gothic or a high stakes drama or a musical or a period piece.
Terminator the musical? Oh my god.
But that's basically kind of like you could boil, or you could take it back to its horror roots.
Yes.
The first Terminator is a rated R film.
Yes.
I think the second one is too.
I'm pretty sure it is. Pretty sure it is. Yeah.
And we've kind of neutered the Terminator.
Ooh, interesting. You think so?
I think so, and I think Aliens 3 and 4 kind of got wrapped up in that same. Like, they're an action movie, and they like tried to bring back some horror elements, but it was too late. They didn't go far off in any particular direction, and I think so. Like so the trailer for Terminator Dark Fate, which it's out. I have not seen it yet, but I'm like, yeah, it looks like an action movie. It and it doesn't. It looks like it's trying to be T2 again, but. That's like, I've seen that movie.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is this is the issue that this franchise is sort of stuck in, is they keep trying to do what happens after T2, because T2 was the most successful, and the one that made, aside from the first one, made the biggest cultural impact. Mm-hmm. It's the one that people remember most, the one people talk about the most, the one people love the most. Like, I think sort of and I could be, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but my perception of sort of the public opinion of Terminator is the first one was a great setup, and then the second one up the ante and was just like it was like the Star Wars to the Empire Strikes Back. Like you great setup and then fantastic follow up.
Yep.
That really launched it, and that seems to be what I hear from many people, and I think they've been trying to follow that up, ever since the 90s, ever since T2 came out. Because T3 tried to do now here's when the robots actually take over, and that wasn't a very good film. Judgment Day tried to be like, here we are in the future, like where this stuff is happening. That wasn't a very good film. Genesis was better than Salvation, but still not great, still didn't really capture the same magic as the first two. Mm-hmm. I would argue that the television series, Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles, was better than than any of like the last three films, not counting Dark Fate, which I haven't seen yet. Yeah, it was better. It was a better telling of that story with much more something like the best writing I've ever, like any like genre show I've ever watched. Fantastic character development, fantastic storylines, like so great, so faithful to the original. It feels like a great sequel to T2. It only ran for 2 seasons and got canceled by Fox, unfortunately, but it was a fantastic show.
That's what Fox did.
That was their thing, right? For so many years, was just stringing us along with all these great genre shows and then just canceling them.
Yep. That was a big, I mean, that's like the Fox standard going back to when Fox was founded, so it's not even like a recent thing. Star Wars barely got made. Like the board at Fox was like, you know what? You've almost finished this movie, but we still might not release it. And like 2 people were like, no, please release it. And they're like, okay. Fine.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Alan Ladd Jr., who knows what
I know.
would have happened.
Alan Ladd Jr., there was another guy on the board that I can't remember his name that was also like, see, we're super fans of Star Wars. This is the difference.
That's it, right? Yeah, we know all the minutia about Star Wars. Yeah,
this is the difference. But anyway, that's like Fox's thing, like cancel a thing early.
That's true. I didn't really think about it in terms of the films as well, but you're totally right. They both in films and TV, that was and kind of is their thing. But yeah, that show was fantastic. Was one of my favorite shows on TV at the time. And I would say it still holds up. I stand by it. It's a fantastic show. If you just watch T1, T2, and then the show, like it's a pretty natural progression, and it's pretty cool.
if you were to rank the T's, like which is your favorite Terminator? Is it like the T-800, the T-1000, the Terminatrix? The prepubescent teenage girl. Like who is the?
Oh God,
I don't know what her designated.
The T-800 is the original, right? And that is my. I mean, that's the classic. So that's like my favorite because it's the classic. It's the introduction to the whole thing. But the T-1000 is so freaking cool. The whole liquid metal thing.
I think it's hard to improve upon that idea, which is also where they keep getting stuck in, like, what cool thing can the new Terminator series do? And I'm like, well, it's hard to actually beat liquid metal. Like, they barely beat it. Barely.
Yeah, right. It's true. It's hard to beat it in a couple of ways. It's hard for Sarah and John to beat it. It's also just hard to beat it as a concept. It's hard to come up with a better concept than that.
Visually, it's excellent. This is one of the very first, computer rendered characters.
That's right.
And as much as it looks like a 90s movie, there's something about his like mass liquid form that still looks great.
Does
today. And I don't know if it's the way they just reflected light or they really went for we're barely going to use the computer system, because it's what 1992. So, we're like barely. Is it 1992? Is that right?
91 or 92, around there. Yeah. I'm not going to use a lookup for that.
Okay. Yeah. So we're
yeah.
Good. So like we're barely into computers being used in film.
Yeah.
And so. I mean, it wasn't until Jurassic Park that everyone was like, "Oh, we can use computers now." I see.
And that was 92, 93?
94.
94, Jurassic Park.
93.
Yeah.
1993.
Early
93.
90s, right? So around the same time, but maybe just after this. So this has that character of the T-1000 that's computer generated, but it wasn't until Jurassic Park when you have all the dinosaurs and all the stuff that are being computer generated that it really captured people's imagination. And then Toy Story comes out in 94, 95.
95.
And that really, the first fully computer animated film, now we're on board.
Right. Well, I mean, even little things that you would think would be done with a computer now, like T2 is a great example, like that. There's a scene in T2 where Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, there it is, I mushed them together, sort of. She's like sewing up the T-800's head, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? And so then you see them in the mirror, like you see the back of them, but then you also see the mirror, so you can see what's going on inside. And like today, you'd be like, that's a computer trickery. You tricked me. And there's 0 computers in that shot in the real world because Linda Hamilton has an identical twin. And so they got her twin to come on set and dress like her and do the exact motion so it looked like you were looking in a mirror. It's so cool. It's great.
Today it absolutely would have been like a body double and they would replace the face digitally, right?
Yeah.
or just fully computer generate the whole thing.
Depends on the director. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It really, that's one of the things about these first 2 films too, is that so much was practical, and some of it in the original the original film in The Terminator really doesn't look great. A lot of the practical effects,
no, it doesn't.
Arnold with some of the prosthetics and that kind of stuff, that does not look great anymore.
Even the Terminator running in the factory at the end, it does not look. It does
stop motion.
Stop motion.
Yeah. That looks
go
pretty janky.
motion or stop motion.
I thought it was stop motion, but it's been a while since I've watched it, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember because go motion went out the window with Jurassic Park. That's where they were going to do the same thing for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, and then they were like, but the computer could do it, and they were like, oh my god, the computer. Yeah. So, my Alexa just went off because I have her set to that word instead. So, whoop.
That's funny. That just happened on the last Academy Rewind too. One of the most recent.
Yes, it did.
Funny.
Yes, it did.
Very funny. Anyway, yeah. So it's go motion, stop motion. Either way, it doesn't look great at the end of that film. And like I said, a lot of the prosthetics and things don't really don't look, and the models and things don't look so great in that first film. But there is still that sort of movie magic to it that those 80s and early 90s films, like genre films, really capture. Some of the practical effects in the original Star Wars films and in Indiana Jones and in that sort of the Lucas Spielberg school of filmmaking that sort of exists here from James Cameron in the first film and into the second film. And then once we get into the digital era, the stuff looks fantastic, but there is some magic is missing because you're not getting that feeling of like, oh my God, a person had to sit there and make this and have it look so real. You're just sort of like, yeah, it's a computer. I know it. Like it's a cartoon. It's basically a cartoon at this point.
Right. And not that people don't have to sit there and make it, like it takes a lot of work and you have to know a lot about physics and lighting and body movement and everything. And that's a lot of work too. However, like I also sit at a computer and do work.
Well, it's not the same as making it with your hands. Right?
No,
someone made this thing with their handcrafted this.
That's right.
And
right.
I understand that there is an art to the digital realm, and that there is. It's not like it's easy. It's not like you just spit it out. There is so much art and science and work and everything that goes into it. But the visual
there's something
result
about,
is different.
I agree.
The sensory experience is different.
Well, your eye can tell the difference, and I think like I can look at a beautiful sunset in a film, and I can say that is an altered sunset. It's gorgeous, and I love it, and I don't want you to change it, but I know it's different. I can tell the difference. That doesn't happen in the real world,
right?
And sometimes trickery, physical trickery on set, practical effects. They might not quote like hold up or look real, but at least I think it's there. So the realm of believability is just a little bit steep up. And now, of course, we're talking, late 80s, early 90s here. I'm not talking 2019, 2020. Coming up, we've come a long way in the realm of digital capture on screen.
Oh yeah.
So there's tons of stuff that your eye doesn't even think is fake, and it is.
That's totally true.
So it's when things like we already know aren't real are also fake. If that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
We know that Terminator is actually not real, therefore it is not real to the eye.
Right.
So, but that street of cars, that's also fake. Didn't notice because I'm used to seeing streets of cars.
Sure.
So that's where the real digital trickery happened.
That's right.
So a final question before we wrap this episode up. Do you think that this future is possible, and can we do anything to stop it?
It's funny. There are certainly things that make you feel like, ooh, man, the amount of information we're giving to Google or Amazon, or Apple with our just even their like assistant devices, right? Like your Echo and your HomePod and that kind of stuff. Those things and sort of the ecosystem they've built around it, where it's like you can use that device to turn on your lights and unlock your home and do all these things. There's certainly jokes that are made about Google being Skynet or whatever, and
Right.
I've been known to make those jokes, and they're not that far off. Depending on how much you buy into it and how much we all buy into it as a society, it's kind of possible, I suppose, but I don't think it'll really happen. I see it really as just like a horror sci-fi mashup vision of the future, dystopian vision of the future that is more of a cautionary tale than something that I think would legitimately happen. I think we're still on track to prevent that from happening. What do you think?
Agree.
Do you think it's possible?
I don't think that we're dumb enough. Lols, no, we are dumb enough.
We're definitely dumb.
No, I was going to say we're not dumb enough to like create what they created. No, we are. We're definitely dumb enough to do that because like half the stuff that exists in our world is because somebody saw it in a movie when
true.
they were a kid and was like, oh, now I want that thing to be real. So, but sometimes we don't really stop to think if that's a good idea or a bad idea. Case in point, that like rogue scientist last year, the year before, that was like, I want to create a human person out of people and in a test tube. People were like, no, didn't you at least hear of Frankenstein? Like, you know, like, but that was a good idea. Like, he was on to something. Like, no, this is why we have things like Terminator and Jurassic Park and whatever else. But even now, like, we're like, maybe we should clone a mammoth. Like, oh my God. Like,
right. Yeah, like literally at Jurassic Park. You're literally talking about Jurassic Park.
Yep, exactly. You know, Cretaceous Park. You know,
right.
Like, whatever. Yeah. Oh, silly. But no, I honestly don't think that's in the future.
I don't think our robot vacuums are going to uprise against us and take over to make the world a cleaner place. You know?
No, I don't think so either. No, I don't think so either. If anything, we're moving in the direction of like C-3PO instead of.
Yeah. God, I hope so. Yeah, instead of battle droids.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think Alexa's going to get real prissy. Like that's. Yeah.
You didn't say please and thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But I will reorder those Tide Pods.
Thank you. Tide Pods. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, my clothes are dirty. Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
All right. You can find us on beerwithgeeks.com and Gmail and Facebook and Twitter and all of the places that podcasts can be found. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. You can head over to beerwithgeeks.com and thoughtbubbleaudio.com to check out all over Thought Bubble Audio shows and patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio to support the shows. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank
you,
I did all the
one
things.
and all.
Well, Frank, this has been lovely. Are you going to see Dark Fate soon?
I am. I plan to see it very soon, yes.
Excellent. I also plan to see it soon. Perhaps we will talk about it on the show. Who's to say? That's what we do here. That's what we do here. All right.
That's our thing.
All right. Well, until next time. Cheers.
Cheers. What sound do coffee mugs make when they clink?
Chunk.